Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Dane Diesel, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Billionaire Belief Show. I have my man, Coach Tony Brace, in the house. Let's let everybody say hello.
What's good? What's good? What's going on, Dane?
How's it doing, my brother?
Oh
How you
man, I'm
feeling
really
today?
excited. It's episode one of our new show, our new internet show via Google On Air Hangouts, Dropping Game. So I love dropping game every single day to my people. I love helping people, and I'm just excited that you and I, man, came up together with this concept, and look forward to producing this weekly show. So that's 52 pieces of content in a year's time. That's gonna be really excited to see how this thing is going to grow and evolve over the next couple of years.
You and me both, Coach T. I'm definitely excited to be here. I'm definitely eager and can't wait to drop some game for you guys because we do it for you. So before we get into that, though, we had a few things that we want to talk about. Last night we had the Grammy Awards. If you didn't know, now you know. But basically, your man Kanye almost did another Kanye from a few years back. Nevertheless, he did have some interesting words to talk about. So, what were some of those words that you noticed, Coach T?
I just caught the tail end of it, man. We love to read, we love to study, and that's what I was doing. I do this every single day, and when your girl wants to spend some of that quality time, she's like, "Hey, honey, can you come up here? The Grammys is on." So, what I saw Kanye's performance. And I really don't know that song. I think it's dedicated to his family, which I can definitely understand. It had that whole auto tune thing on it. So I'm not really a fan of that. But what I found interesting was where he was getting ready to step on stage and almost semi ruined the other performer. I think his name is Beck. Did he win Album of the Year?
Yeah, I believe Beck did win Album of the Year, and his name is Beck.
Yeah, and for a lot of people that don't know, Beck's been around like since the '90s, so Beck's not a new dude on the block. Although I was never into his music, but I remember him back, in the mid to late '90s. And what I seen Kanye West do during some interview with E! News is he kind of does what he does when he's, feels like expressing himself. So he kind of went on a rant, if you will, about artistry at the Grammys, creativity, and that Beyonce should have won the album of the year and the whole nine. And me personally, I wasn't feeling that. I believe that all human beings are creators, right? Every single day we create. We create on what wardrobe we're going to put on. We create what destination we're going to take when we go to take our kids to the school. We can take different routes. So we all create every single day. And for him to take another shot at another artist, in my opinion, that wasn't cool. So those are my thoughts on it, man. What about yourself?
I definitely caught the tail end of it, as in this morning after you told me about it, but it was definitely online. So I hit my Facebook wall, found it eventually, of course. I checked it out. I didn't get a chance to see the actual interference, I guess you can call it, that he was going to
Yeah.
run on that artist back. But at the end of the day, what it did make me do hearing about it, it made me research. We'll find out, who is this Beck guy. So I had never heard of him before then. But because of that incident, now I know who Beck is. Like you said, he has been around for a while. I believe his Wikipedia page said that he got to the game in 1985, actually. And
Wow.
his heyday really was like the 90s. So he's no new guy on the block. Nevertheless, Kanye was about to do another Kanye. But what I did find interesting was the rant that he did have afterwards at the Grammy after party. I believe he was on
Yeah.
online or whatever. But he was talking about, to me, he did say some things that made sense to me, and that, as an artist, as a musician, what they do is inspire individuals. What they do is create music that people listen to get up and do the things that they might not want to do, or to do things they love to do. And that was a good point. But I'm definitely not feeling, like you kind of touched on before, him interfering on another person's shine. I mean, if he wants to rant, like, definitely, say that for afterwards. But well, while we live on show, let's keep it let's keep it kosher. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
man.
let's keep it
It's
kosher.
all about professionalism.
Exactly, professionalism is the proper word.
The biggest statement he and other artists that feel that way could do is just not show up to the Grammys. You
Yeah.
know, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Nicki Minaj, all these big time artists, if they stop showing up, maybe things will change, right? It's
Yep.
simple as that. When they start supporting other venues, then maybe things will change. Again, I don't watch a lot of these award shows these days. Maybe 15, 20 years ago I did, but these days I don't. But from what I've heard, again, on the social media viral situation, is a lot of these artists, like the Kanye West of the world, they don't even show up to the Hip Hop BET Awards. They don't show up to the Hip Hop Double XL Awards and that sort of thing. So, again, I find it interesting. I understand what he was saying, but we don't know how many people Beck is influencing. He has his target market, he has his niche, and these are some of the things that we're going to talk about in terms of the business side. Beck has a following. Again, I know who he was, but I didn't even know the dude had an album out. But again, I'm not his target audience, so it's not really relevant for me.
Yeah, no doubt. And I believe Kanye did speak up on that. Artists aren't going to artists aren't going to go to the events anymore. So we shall see if that comes into fruition or not. But it'll be very interesting. And like you said, I definitely believe that would be the biggest thing that they can do to as Kanye West said, to stop slapping artists in the face. Stop supporting the event. And we shall see what will happen. But all in all,
I can dig it. But I'm from that cloth of Marshawn Lynch. Be about that action, boss.
About that action, boss. I can dig it. And to briefly speak on that, I'm not a Seattle Seahawks fan. I'm not a Patriots fan, but I was more so a fan of Marshawn Lynch. So I was kind of shocked by that call that they made in the Super Bowl. My man Pete, he kind of disappointed me on that one.
Man, for real. Suspect call, like I don't even want to use vulgar language, but let's just say I lost a couple of wagers behind that call.
Will do. Well, on that, speaking of money at the end of the day, let's go ahead and hop in on today's topic. Let's dive in head first. So today we're going to talk about the business quadrant, and I'll just give a brief overview of why we're going to be talking about this, and after that, Coach T and I will hop straight in to give y'all those good golden nuggets, those wisdoms. But nevertheless, regardless of what we do in life, we are a business, and as a business, it's our job, it's our responsibility to go out into the world and serve others by solving problems so that we can create the value that they need so that the transaction can occur of them giving us money. And it's a system, it's a formula, and for most of us, we're conditioned and we're trained not to be income-producing machines, i.e. businesses. In a sense, we're trained to become employees, individuals who take and follow orders. So if you are an individual right now who has a business, or you aspire to own a business one day, and you're feeling stuck and pretty much clueless about how to change your situation for the better, this is a great class, great information we're about to share with you to hopefully, do the best we can to help you turn your life around. So with that being said, let's talk about the business quadrant, Coach T.
Absolutely, yeah. My mentor taught me, Brad Sugars, that a real business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that can work without the owner. So think about it right now. Think about someone that owns the Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most likely the owner's not at the location every single day. They have a business that can work without them, right? That they have a location, okay? They have a staff, they have food, they have a menu. And they put all these components together and they create a process and they create a system so that this thing can work without them. It's really amazing that big corporations like Burger King, Taco Bell, McDonald's, again, they've created this franchise, this brand that is able to work without the executives being there, without the franchisor being there to hold the hands, because they have the training in place and they have the system in place. So that's what I want to touch on first. Is there's a lot of people out there that are solopreneurs. Shout out to all the solopreneurs. And eventually, as we evolve this show, we want to be able to give them free game okay? But it's up to them if they're going to be able to implement this game. So over the next, 12 months, if people just watch this show starting today, episode 1 to episode 52, they will have the formula, if you will, how to design a model that can work without them. So that's something that I just wanted to touch on. Again, I'm emphasizing a business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. And when we look at the business quadrant, let's imagine there's 4 bucks, okay? And the lifeline of any business is revenue. It's sales, right? So how do we get to sales? How do these young up-and-coming entrepreneurs, now we're in this digital age where everybody can produce these types of things. This is my personal branding hat for my apparel. It's the Coach Tony brand brace, very exclusive. I'm not mass marketing this thing, but let's assume that I was only marketing this product, right? Just hats in different color schemes. Let's say I had 20 different or 100 different color schemes, like let's say like Oregon's uniforms, but it's one brand, it's one logo, and that's all that I'm pushing. When you think about the first box in the quadrant, the first box that you should focus on is lead generation, right? So when it comes down to lead generation, you can say that's your whole marketing campaign, right? Your promotions, you're communicating your message. So that's quadrant 1. And we'll get a little bit deeper as we go into this show of, how do you generate more leads and that sort of thing. But in order to get to the end result of more money, more revenue, it starts with lead generation. If you don't have someone raising their hand, poking around on your website, knocking on your door, you picking up your phone, calling them to create a lead, if you will, then you will never get to the sale, because the next box in the quadrant is sales, right? In order to create that exchange for good, it's going to require a sale, right? And so that's when the transaction is made. Now, I'm a professional salesman, so I love sales. I love asking for the sale. And if somebody was asking me about these hats and trying them on and this different type of thing, I would simply just start asking questions. Hey, man, I really like your Jordans. How many pairs of Jordans do you have? Oh, man, I have about 100 pair of Jordans. I would take that with your pairs of Jordans, having different hats is important to you, right? Yeah. What are some of your favorite color combos? Well, I like this, 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 and this, right? What I'm doing now is I'm engaging in the sales process. Number 1, I started to build a little bit of rapport, right? Number 2, I just, in this sequence of examples that I'm sharing, number 2, what I started to do was gather intelligence, asking questions. So again, we'll go a little bit deeper, but that is the second quadrant of the 4-quadrant process to what we call massive revenue in your business. So again, to reiterate, we got lead generation, 1 box. Now we got sales, right? When you multiply a lead times a sale, what do you get?
You get the average dollar per sale?
No, you get a new customer or client.
Oh yeah, new customer or client. That's true.
Or a repeat customer or client. Okay? So we're looking, business owners are always looking for new customers or clients, right? They always spend a lot of money marketing box 1 to get more customers or clients, but you only get a customer or clients when 2 of the quadrants take place. You have a lead and you make the sale, right?
Yeah.
And then that's going to give you a customer. Now the 3rd box in the quadrant is when you look at your business over a 12-month period, over a year, okay? You have your marketing program generating leads. You have your sales training going on, so you're converting leads. Because remember, sales is all about conversion. Most people don't measure their conversion rate. If I was to ask an up-and-coming retail owner today, tell me a little bit about your conversion rate, unless they go to their POS system or pull up the analytics, most of them don't understand, okay? So going back to the 3rd box in the quadrant is the number of transactions that you can do with a new customer or client, okay? Again, imagine I'm only selling hats. That's my only, I'm like the leads, or excuse me, not leads, but lids. Everybody probably is familiar with lids. Their motto is what? Selling hats, right? Out of a retail mall. So let's imagine Coach Tony Brace has his own retail store on Melrose somewhere. I got exclusive hats. I got everybody buying them and that sort of thing. When I get a new customer or client, how can I get them to increase the business with me, right? That's the number of transactions per year, or we call it even purchase frequency. So that's box number 3. Then box number 4 is, what is your average dollar purchase per transaction, okay? If I were selling this hat for, let's say, $25, okay, me as a business coach, if we're trying to grow revenue, right, we're analyzing the marketing, we're analyzing the sales, we're analyzing the number of transactions, but we're also analyzing your average dollar purchase, right? Because in order to get more revenue, there's certain things that you can do to increase. Have you ever went to Lids or any other retail place, maybe a Foot Locker, you buy some shoes, and how do they try to increase their average dollar sale? What are 9 times out of 10, what do they ask you?
Oh, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be like, "Yo, you got them fresh white Air Force Ones? You want some cleaner, or you want these new laces that we can put up in there? You know, you go need some fresh socks to go with them Air Force Ones, bro. These are the best ones that you can do right here."
Exactly. Or now in Lids, they're selling this I guess this spray sealer where it says, "Hey, we'll spray this on for an extra $2, and what it's gonna do is gonna protect your hat from the sweat, turning your hat, you know, some dark color, some brown color because of your sweat glands," right? So most people will say, for an extra $2, I can preserve my hat, for sure. Well, again, those are strategies for average dollar sale. So in order to grow your revenue, again, you got to focus on all 4 quadrants. You got to focus on, how do I increase my lead volume? Number 1, right? How do I increase my conversion rate? Number 2, right? How do I increase the number of transactions that my customers or clients do with me on an annual basis, right? We're looking to increase that. And number 4, lastly, is how do I increase the average dollar purchase, okay? And when you multiply all those things, this is multiplication, then you get this magnified effect. So let's just imagine, for math's sake, okay? You just opened up your doors, right? Month 1, you've generated, and this could be any hypothetical business, okay? Let's just say you detail cars for a living, right? You got your business cars out there. Week number 1, we'll say week number 1 for detailing cars. You detailed, actually, you got 10 people to inquire about your services just from passing out cards, right? That's part of your marketing effort. You got 10 people to call you up.
So that's 10 leads.
That's 10 leads. So people saying, "Hey, you know, what are your prices? Do you do mobile service? You know, I'm a corporate business person. I don't have time to get my car washed. Can you stop by?" Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Let's say out of 10, you do 4 jobs that week. Your conversion rate in terms of sales now is what?
40%.
40%. So if I were a business coach and I knew that your average conversion rate is 40%, my job is to move the needle just a tad bit. I'm not even trying to move it to 50%. I might only want to move it up to 45%, okay?
Now, Coach, with that being said, so you're saying, if like you said, I have a business and I know on record that I'm getting a conversion rate of 40%. So by moving that needle a tad, are we talking about the number of leads we're putting into that system, or are we talking about the conversion rate itself?
We're going to do all 4 of the quadrants. We're only going to work on it 1 at a time.
Okay.
See, for this episode, we didn't have a visual. You know, most people are visual learners. So to those that are watching this, I apologize. Next time we'll have a visual. We'll have a PowerPoint or a slide in front of you so you can see the power of these numbers when it starts to add up. So that's a great question. Okay, we'll start with the lead generation. You got 10. If we moved the needle the following week by 10%, how many leads do we have the following week?
So on top of our 10 already?
Yeah. So week 1 we got 10 leads out the gate, and now I said let's just focus on a 10% gain the following week.
Oh, 10 times point. That's 1 more person in a sense.
1 more person. So now week 2 we went from
11.
10 leads to 11 leads, right? Okay. Now if I say in week 2, let's try to increase the conversion rate by 10%, not 10% total, right? So what's 10% of 40?
10% of 40?
That's 40. That's just 4%, right?
Yeah, 4. So 44% then.
Bingo. So we've increased the lead by 1. We've increased the conversion rate by 4%. Now we're saying let's increase the number of transactions by 10% as well. Okay. So last week we did how many cars? Again, we don't have a visual, so
last week we did 4 cars.
Right. And we've increased our conversion rate by 4%. Right. Now we're looking at the number of transactions. We're moving that by 10%. And again, because this is a startup scenario, that number of transactions, moving it by 10%, that number is going to be a little bit off because we only got, remember, 1 more lead. So using this example in a week's example is really not a good example. Normally I use it by month, by quarter, by year. Okay, but let's just say for math's sake, we increased the transaction by 10%, right? So now the number of transactions, we went from 4 to 4.4. Let's just say that, right? And let's say the average dollar sale was a $40 car wash with a slight coat, mobile detail, whatever you want to say. Now, if we increase that by 10% as well, our average dollar sale went from $40 last week to 44, right? So pull out your calculator and let's just do a little bit of math on that. So we'll compare and contrast week number 1 to week number 2. So week number 1, essentially there was 10 leads.
Yep.
4 jobs done, right?
Yep.
Okay. The transactions was just 4 for that week, okay? And the average dollar sale was $40, right?
Yep.
So total revenue for that week, not a lot of money, $160, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, week number 2, we got how many leads, we said?
We got 11 leads.
11 leads, okay. And
so
then
we got 4.4 transactions.
We got times 4.4 transactions, okay.
And then we said our average dollar cost was $40.
And we increased it by 10%, so it went up to $44.
$44, yeah, so $44. So now we got, $44.
So we went from 100. The first week we went from 100 and what? What was that number?
It was 160.
Okay, so from week 1 we went from $160 to week 2 we went up to $193.60. Okay.
Yes.
Imagine doing that week by week, multiply and magnifying that over 52 weeks. What we can do.
We're going to experience some compound exponential returns right there.
There you go. And so that's the philosophy, is that compound effect, that multiplication to get there. And again, those that are visual are probably calculating and going back and figuring things out in their mind. Essentially, in a week, you went up in total revenue $33. But again, it's $33 the first week. 52 weeks, that's going to be tens of thousands of dollars.
Now, Coach T, let's talk about the importance of understanding the linear versus the nonlinear income generation mindset of that experience you just talked about. In that, if I'm working at a job and I want to make more money, I initially linear think, I have to get more hours. I have to put in more hours. I have to put in more work. But our hours are finite. They're limited. As opposed to if I have my own business, and by just tweaking those leads, tweaking those conversion rates, tweaking those average customers, average number of transactions, I can experience some exponential returns right there. And I believe a lot of people really don't get that. They don't get the linear and nonlinear, the linear as well as the nonlinear aspect of what you just broke down right there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't do that because a lot of people, they don't like math. They don't use basic math a lot to make intelligent decisions. And that's something, that's one of the fundamental things to business is, what does the data say? And how does this add up in numbers? How do we quantify this? How do we measure this sort of thing? To your point, when you're in employee, you have a ceiling, right? You can only work 40 hours a week. If there's some overtime that's available, then you can get some overtime. You have a ceiling of whatever your hourly pay is. If your hourly pay is 20 bucks an hour, if your hourly pay is $10 an hour, $30, 40, my point is there is a ceiling. When we're using this mobile detail service as a case study, a hypothetical case study, again, by the way, I'm just coming off the cuff with this. None of this was predetermined. You have the ability to expand, okay? Because you can expand in the marketplace. Maybe last week, week one, you only hit your neighborhood with posters and flyers, okay? You hit literally a 4-block radius. What if we expand that by a mile radius, right? Then what if we go to another region of the city and you pay somebody $10 an hour to expand over there, and another person you pay $10 an hour to expand over there? Kind of like how you see people on the corners with those spiral signs dancing around, spinning around, right?
Exactly.
That's to pull people in. So you're leveraging others. Again, you're creating this business that eventually, this mobile detail business that could work without you. Right now, you're a one-man band, but as your revenue grows, as your profitability grows, now you can start hiring and training people to the same steps and the same process, imparting the same knowledge and same understanding on them. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Now within that vein, let's talk about that from a hip hop perspective. So let's use a case study, and I believe this is something that we can use throughout, our show. But let's create these case studies where now let's talk about exactly what we just spoke about, but more so from a perspective of a rapper. Now I'm a rapper in the game. I feel that I have some dope lyrics, and I'm at a point where I've decided that, hey, I'm about to go, I'm about to get this 100%. I'm about to turn my passion into profit.
Mm-hmm.
What steps do I need to go? Well, within the context of the business quadrant, what are some of the things that I can do?
Okay. Normally before we even get into the business quadrant and the strategies, right, to increase all these different areas by 10%, because again, we're talking about, let's say, lead generation. I have 50 different tested and measured strategies that could potentially work for this person.
Uh-huh.
But it's all going to go down to, when we're talking about lead generation, who's their target market? What are the demographics and what are the psychographics, right? I would ask you, if you were a hip hop MC today, and you made music and you shot your first video and you put all this money into it, I would ask you, hey Diesel, tell me 20 things about your customers. I want you to imagine you have the perfect customer. Tell me 20 things about them. What do you know about them? Where do they shop at? What do they like? What do they eat? Where do they take their kids? And if you can't answer those questions, then we're going to go to the drawing board and figure that out, because it's important that you know your target market. We were just talking about Beck. Again, Kanye West was mad, but clearly Beck is fulfilling his target market. He sold records. He has touring revenue and all that sort of thing. So that's where we would start from first. Who is your target market with an MC?
Okay. So basically you're saying that before I even make a record, I need to first figure out who my target market is.
Absolutely. That is critical.
So before I hop into the booth, before I even put my pen to my pad per se, I need to first determine who is my target market.
Yeah, in most cases, Jay-Z will take two spectrums of hip-hop, right? And I'm not just using Jay-Z because he's this mega superstar. I'm just using him, again, as this hypothetical case study, because this is a man that's about 46 years old, right? He has his target market. His audience is growing with him. Jay-Z's target market versus, let's say, the rap group out of Atlanta, the Migos, right?
Okay.
I guarantee you they have two different audiences. I would never go to a Migos concert. I'm not their audience. But I would go to a Jay-Z concert, right?
Yep.
And I guarantee you the business people that Jay-Z hires to do the numbers, they know what a person like me, demographics, where I spend, where I shop, where I travel, and all these different things, so they can monetize those possibilities. Again, it's all possibilities. Does that make sense?
That definitely makes sense, Coach T. But let's just say I'm that stubborn, hard-headed artist, and I'm just like, nah, man, I don't need to do all that stuff. I just need to get in the booth. What do you have to say about that guy when it comes to him, his unwillingness or her unwillingness to take the time to identify who their target market is?
Well, I would say to that artist, you're just making things more difficult to make money. You can get in the booth and create art. That's wonderful. You might get in the booth twice a day and make 2 records a day, 365 days a year, right? So in a year's time, you got over 700 songs. Now what? That's what I would ask them. A question. Now what?
Exactly.
What's the next
Now,
step? You got 700 songs. You're going to keep shooting videos, spending your own money, right? You're losing money. Now what? There's a million of you. How do you differentiate yourself? What is your unique, I'll say unique artist proposition to the marketplace?
nice.
Again, I don't condone this at all. So for any viewers that is watching this, I don't condone smoking marijuana, okay? But if you look at an artist like Wiz Khalifa or Currency, their target market is marijuana smokers, right?
Yep.
Remember back in the day, Cypress Hill, their target market was marijuana smokers. So you got to be very clear on this stuff. You got to be clear on your vision. I would ask an artist, 10 years from today, with a mental picture in your mind, let's work backwards. Where do you want to be? What does your house look like? What does your car look like? What color is your car? What schools are you sending your kids to? How much are you putting away for college? What type of real estate are you investing in? You see what I mean? You got to generate bigger thinking. And
Exactly.
the artists don't do that. They just see the floss. I'm going to get the chain, I'm going to get the Benz, I'm going to get the hot chick, and it's going to be all good. Me and my crew, we're going to do this, we're going to ball out, we're going to turn up. That's why most artists don't survive, okay? But the smart ones, again, and I'm talking about the independent artists, Currency, Nipsey Hussle, these dudes don't need a deal because they understand who their target market is. They get on social media and they create their own hashtag communities. You see what I'm saying? Like for me, example, my hashtag community on Instagram is MindRich, right? Because I got a mixtape out. I trap knowledge. So I'm building up the community for MindRich. So if anybody types in hashtag MindRich, you'll see Instagram content from Coach Tony Brace. I know where I want my business to be and my life to be in 10 years. I know
Nice.
what my values are. I know what my worth is. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. So now that you've beat in my head, I'm an artist. I finally have surrendered. I said, okay, Coach T, I need to identify my target market. And
Yes.
let's just say, I'm Ti, and I say, my target market is the corner hustler, or my target market, if I'm like you said, if I'm a Currency or Wiz Khalifa, the cannabis smoker, or if I'm Jay-Z, I'm saying I can't really say who I think his target market is. Maybe the hood ambitionist. I don't know, just the person that's on that grind period. But nevertheless, okay. So I've identified my target market, so I know the type of leads that I should be generating now. Like what going through the business quadrant now.
Now,
Where would I go next?
strategies, right? You're
Yep.
clear on who your target market is. You understand the demographics and you understand the psychographics, right? So how do you get these people to raise their hand and say, yeah, I want to hear some of your music. Yeah, I want to buy your T-shirt. Yeah, I want to go out to your show, right? In the context of music, I would say, let's assume that you were the Wiz Khalifa type of rapper, right? And
Hmm.
your target market was the cannabis smokers, okay? Where do these people already shop at right now? What stores do they shop at? What retail stores do they shop at, whether it's online or offline, okay? We would have that data, okay? And then the first thing that I would do is I would reach out to a smaller boutique company and develop a strategic partnership with them. Okay, so again, going back to the example that I used earlier, if I was selling retail hats on Melrose, right, and I had it popping. I had foot traffic. I had certain types of crowds of people coming through the door, okay? And you was an artist, and you reached out to me, handed me some music, handed me, some custom-made hats that you created, and you gave them to me as promotional items and said, hey, by the way, I'm giving a free show at this park. I'm going to be bringing in, again, I'm all about leverage, coaches. I'm going to be bringing in another artist with me, a bigger artist that's on a bigger level than me, and we're going to do this free concert. Those would be the first steps that I would take, because remember, it takes money to make money, right? But we're being very strategic. So we're giving out free music, we're giving out free promotional hats, right? Just so that the retail owner has somebody in the store passing out flyers on behalf of you, the rapper. And again, you as a rapper, if you're very smart, you're making sure that when you create this strategic partnership, that they're very clear on what the outcome is going to be. So that means if you have to train them on how the process should work, then you need to train them. You need to say, hey, in order for this deal to really happen and for me to give you a percentage of whatever I'm going to sell at this park venue, then here's what I need you to do. Every time your cash register rings and your new customers walking out the store with a bag, explain to them about this free show. Give me some free promotion. Hey, there's this artist, Dhane Diesil, one of the hottest up-and-coming artists around. He's going to be performing at Leimert Park, whatever the case may be. I'm just giving an example. Again, for those that, I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, but for those, Dhane and I are from Los Angeles, so we're just using something that may be universal from people, for people that live in the city of Los Angeles. So does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
And that's just one strategy, okay?
Perfect.
And then the other side of that, this is the most important. So it's having the knowledge of the strategy, executing the strategy, implementing it, making sure that it's done. Step 3. Excuse me, step 2. Then step 3 is measuring it. How well did it work? See, most people don't measure it. So if that was your only strategy going to all the, we'll call it hood, street, retail locations, whether it's barbershops, whether it's t-shirt shops, whether it's the car wash, and your only strategy was getting them to promote for you, then you have to be documenting all your locations, and you have to be documenting. You have to have somebody that's walking around the park surveying, so when people do come saying, hey man, how did you hear about this event? Oh man, I heard about it at Coach Tony Bray's retail store. Oh, okay, check mark. And so then you start, when the show's over, you got this data and say, you know what? We had 100 people at the park. We sold 20 hats, 15 t-shirts, a couple of mugs, a couple of phone cases, whatever. I'm just making up stuff that you can monetize, that you could sell at this location. Because remember, you gave your music away for free, right? You gave away the show for free, but then you sold other items while you were there.
And not to cut your wisdom off, Coach T.
What's that?
So not to cut your wisdom off, but you touched on something very important right there. You said, I gave my music away for free, and I gave my performance away for free, but I was still able to monetize those free giveaways with merchandise or ancillary products.
There you
to complement my free show and my free music. And I believe a lot of artists, so I'm an artist, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I can do that. So I can give my music away for free. I've been doing that anyway. I've been performing for free anyway. But then I can make money by just having, my name on a t-shirt, or my album cover on a t-shirt, or on the you said the back of a phone case. Wow, I didn't know I can do that. Thanks.
Exactly. And then also, again, it's all about understanding your numbers. Okay, we're assuming that this is your first campaign ever as an artist. You're fresh out the booth. You never tried anything strategic before. You just kind of winged it, right? So you got to ask yourself, before you even hit these retail stores, how much time are you going to invest on this marketing campaign? And how much money are you going to invest in this marketing campaign? I.e., how much did it cost you to press up each piece of content? So if it cost you $1,000 to book the studio, right, and then it cost you another $1,000 to press it up, you're $2,000 in a hole. Then it costs you $200 in gas to travel all around the city to meet different small business owners, to pitch them the idea, right? You got to quantify all these different things, and you got to add them up. And then you got to say, you know what? Just on this potential of doing this show at Leimert Park to get the business license, the clearance from the city, all this campaign is going to cost me $3,500. Okay, how many people need to be in that park? How many hats, how many t-shirts, how many phone cases do I need to sell just to break even and get my $3,500 back? That's the first thing that we work on in business coaching. What is your break-even point? Okay, then when we got that figured out, how much is it going to take to make an extra $2,000, $3,000, so on and so forth. So we're testing and measuring everything with a fine comb. Everything is tested and measured. Everything has a checklist. Every time you jump on an airplane, Dhane, anybody in America, anytime they jump on an airplane, it is protocol. No matter if the pilot's been doing this for 30 or 40 years, they have a checklist that they go through every single time. And they've locked 40,000 hours, but they still go through a checklist. And that's what has to happen in business. You have to go through a checklist. So when I talk about the 4 quadrants, there's checklists in each quadrants. There's multiple strategies in each quadrant. And more importantly, we're monitoring the progress. Because if we did do that first show and we invested $3,500, and let's say we did just break even, we just recouped our money back. Now we're going to analyze the data and say what needs to happen differently. So instead of breaking even on the next venue that we do, that we become, let's say, $1,000 profitable. That's when all the analytics comes in. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And,
so it takes a business mind to think like that.
So it takes some billionaire belief, basically. Billionaire belief, more so just being, like you said, not the mechanics of money per se, but the thinking that goes behind the implementation of those mechanics.
Yeah, it takes the ability to dream. It takes the ability to plan, written plans. It takes the ability to have the knowledge. It takes the ability to put a team together, right? Because one-man bands, to pull something off like that is going to be very difficult. You're going to have a team. And then it's going to take massive action, doing every day, texting, picking up phone calls, social media, constantly. The campaign has to keep going. Okay, when you look on Instagram and you see a lot of the artists, man, they're posting content sometimes up to 10 times a day. So they can stay, in this marketplace of a lot of noise. They're trying to stay relevant. We talked about a word. One of our shows or one of our hangouts before, obscurity, right? So they're not obscure. People know who they are.
And that's a full-time job. We're working out of obscurity, and then it becomes overtime, having had to work yourself out of obscurity and then, keep yourself relevant.
So most people quit and they get out the game because they don't understand the formula to get there. There's a formula to get there. I coach my daughter in track, and she's a 13-year-old girl. She's one of the top track and field runners in America. Again, track and field is objective, but it takes work to get there. We have a specific regimen from how we stretch, how we warm up, to the workout, to the cool down, to the mindset that it's going to take. You know what I mean? I teach my daughter to have a certain mindset, that beast mode mindset, that Kobe Bryant mindset, because when you have the belief, then all the external distractions, you're able to deal with it at a higher level. That's my belief, because I've seen the result. Again, I'm all about looking at the end result.
So it's safe to say that to think like a beast, in a sense, is to have that billionaire belief, because that's pretty much what this whole brand is built upon. Those who believe in never stop learning, that being our tagline, but that never stop learning goes into building up your belief in yourself. And I believe that that's what a billionaire does. At the end of the sense, a billionaire is just continuously recreating themselves but not necessarily themselves as in their mind as well as their body. Making sure that they get their mind to that beast mode level, and then that ultimately turns into action, which produces outstanding results. So ultimately, billionaire belief being the belief that you are becoming a human success machine that produces outstanding results, regardless of what it is that you choose to do.
Absolutely, and there's so many moving parts. Again, if we were to take an average car apart, like a Toyota Camry, and pulled each piece out, bolt, knob, tires, all these parts, we would put on the ground over 20,000 parts just to make an automobile that gets you from destination A to B. Okay? There's hundreds to thousands to 10,000s of parts in a business, depending on what type of business that you have. Think about the U.S. government. That's a business, right? Think about the Navy out in the sea. Okay, they got tens of thousands of moving parts to make things happen, from how they recruit to how they keep the ship clean, to how it was manufactured, to all the procedures if emergencies start to happen. Okay, it can be done, people. Human beings are doing it, but it takes that billionaire belief. That's where it starts, Dhane, the mental. Okay, but I want to caution people, because I've seen this. I've seen people study thousands of hours, read more books than me, master's degrees, high-level intelligent people, but they never apply anything. There's a term in our industry, we call them seminar junkies. There's people that will go to every seminar. There's people that will listen to every network marketing opportunity, and they will gain some great insight, but they will never apply the stuff. They will never measure the effectiveness. And eventually, they either give up or they keep hopping around to opportunity to opportunity. You got to stay in this thing for the long haul. I tell people that are in that want to start up a new business, you got to be dedicated like a hungry dog on a meat truck for 5 years, minimum, to build this thing up. People talk about overnight successes, right? But they don't realize that an overnight success could take 20 years. For all these people, again, going back to the Grammys, that didn't know about Beck, you just gave me some information. I thought Beck popped up in the 90s, but you said he's been around since 1985. So here is a man that Kanye West was dissing, if you will, that's been in the game, building his dreams since 1985. And now we're in 2015, and you hating because he won this Grammy? I'm not with that. That's hard work to build up his brand.
That is definitely hard work. So basically, I'm an artist. In this case, I'm a rapper. Now I need to make sure that I have my target market. I need to identify that person. I need to know the top 20 things about that person, where they shopping, where they eating at, what websites they going to, whether they like Facebook, whether they like Instagram, whether they like Twitter, which one they spend the most time on. I need to find out any and everything I can about them. And then after that, I need to focus on creating some products, as well as the strategies that are going to go into moving those products. So if I do just have a T-shirt that I want to sell, or I have let's just say I have a T-shirt and a snapback that I want to sell. So a strategy that I can use now is I can give my music away for free. I can do my performances for free. I just got to make sure that I have the products where my customers are going to be at that point in time. And I know also too now that I need to make sure that I take notes. I need to make sure that I'm tracking everything, so that I know how much I'm putting into this event or this experience, and so I'll know what my break-even point is, so that I know how much I need to sell at this event, so I know what I need to do as far as lead generation wise, how many leads I need to be getting every day, and how many calls, how many text messages, how many emails I need to be sending, as well as so I can know, okay, by my conversion rates. I had 100 people come out, and I sold 20 T-shirts, I sold 15 hats, and now I'm at a place to where, okay, I now, and after I've done that, I've created a customer now. So did I get their email address? Did I get their phone number, or did I just sell them the hat? did I just sell them the T-shirt and let them walk away? You know, did I put myself in a position where I can increase the number of transactions that I do have with this person who has raised their hand and said, hey, I like what you have, I like what you're doing. Here's $20. Keep me posted. Did I put myself in a position to get that? Did I put myself in a position to make that happen?
Exactly. Exactly. And right now we're just scratching the surface. We can go really deep. Again, I'm only using this stuff because we're in the context of hip hop. For all those know, I work with accountants, I work with CPAs, I work with plumbers, I work with automobile dealerships. I work with a lot of different industries. And quite frankly, the hip hop industry on the business side is not my niche. But I'm transitioning to this niche because I have a lot of knowledge, I have a lot of game to give these people. But my point that I'm trying to make, this hypothetical scenario, you, Dhane, you're the rapper, right? And let's say again, your audience is the Wiz Khalifa type, right?
Yep.
How many products do they buy? The G pins and the this and the that. What if you had your logo on that, right?
Yep.
And you were selling those products. But again, they showed up to you free. They got your music for free, but they just bought the G pin, the cannabis pin with your logo. And it was a little bit fresher than the next pin. And let's say that, I don't know even how much those things go for, but let's say they go for $30. And you're swinging yours for $40 because it has this extra little light and this extra little design. And oh, by the way, it says Dhane Diesil, the 213-323 neighborhood whoop-de whoop whoop whoop.
Yeah.
So many different ways. I don't condone this stuff, but let's say I was a gangster rapper, right? And I was credible. If I'm a B or a C, it don't matter. You know your target market, like what's the dude from Compton? YG. He can go right to the B's and serve game, right? Whether it's the hat that says Bompton on it, that has the red bandana look, that could move because certain B's worldwide. This thing is worldwide now. Again, I don't condone this stuff, but I just look at it from a business sense. When he goes on the road, New York, New Jersey, Atlanta, they now have B's in every city. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so what products is he swinging them? Again, this is thinking like a businessman. This is thinking like a hustler. I'm emphasizing I don't condone gangster rap music. I grew up around it. I understand it and all that sort of stuff. I'm actually personally, Coach Tony Brace, I'm looking in the camera. I'm trying to level out the playing field and help the hip-hop community raise their level of awareness, their consciousness in terms of the content that they create. But for this first episode, coming up with this hypothetical case study, that's why I'm giving you these examples of creative ways to monetize. I tell people all the time, man, there's no shortage. God gives us the ability to create, to be innovative. There's so many different ways we can do things, and that's why, again, I like these artists. I like the independent guys. I like the Nipsey Hussles. I like the Currencies. There's a cat in Vegas. I can't think of his name. I only heard a snippet of his music. I think his name is gosh. Think of an artist that's big in Vegas. Dizzy Wright or something like that. Have you ever heard of an artist by the name of Dizzy Wright?
I mean, that name does sound familiar, but I can't think of any artists that are big in Vegas right now.
Well, he's a young dude. He's like in his early 20s, but I know this dude has a following out here. People go to the House of Blues to see him perform without, a big artist coming in. He can like pack the House of Blues by himself because he's built up that following all by himself.
That makes sense. Well, Coach T, we got, like you said, at a bare minimum, we got 52 episodes to knock out. So we go ahead and stop right here and save the second half of this case study for our next show. But with that being said, I'm pretty sure that our audience has had an opportunity to capture some really good ideas. I hope that everybody did have a pen and pad ready, because that's what a leader always has on them at all times. But let's just say you are in a situation where you don't have a pen and pad. I would definitely suggest that you use an app called Evernote to go ahead and capture those ideas while you're mobile and on the go, because you're gonna need to have your mind free to think creatively, to think critically, so that you can come up with these various strategies. You're gonna come up with a lot of them. So you want to have a place that you know you can go to log those notes in. And the beautiful thing about Evernote is that you can also access the application from your desktop. So while you're on the go during the day, you can get your notes down, or while you're sitting in front of your computer screen, watching Coach T and Dane Diesil, drop some good game for you about how you can change your life for the better. Or you can use that app to keep notes and keep a running dialogue of things that you're learning as well as the things that you're thinking, so that you can be able to implement these things and put them into action. So that's today's tech tip. Go ahead and go to your Google Android, your Google Play Store, or the Evernote.com, or you can go to your Apple iStore to go ahead and download your app. But go ahead and get that app on your phone sooner than later and start using it today.
Yeah, that's some really good game. Again, thinking about what I just said, ideas, creativity. A lot of times people don't even jot down ideas. I can go in my phone right now. I don't have the Evernote, but I got two other things, and I have so much information with notes. I use my smartphone again, the the audio recorder. I got that idea. One day I was watching SportsCenter a couple of years ago, and I seen the reporter put the smartphone in somebody's face like it was a microphone. And I said, you know what? We have smartphones now. That's a great idea. So any idea that I have now, Evernote or straight to audio. Great.
There it is. There it is. So as we round third base and take it on home for today's episode, to sum up everything we've talked about, like we said, this is the Billionaire Believe Show, and we're going to be dropping game for y'all. So this is episode 1. And from here on out, you can expect to see a lot of information and some good game chopped up about the things you can do as a hip-hop artist, whether you're a rapper, a DJ, a producer, a model, to change your life for the better, to improve your situation, to go from obscurity into relevance and beyond. Like, that is our goal, that is our ambition here, and that is what we seek to do here at Billionaire Belief. Instill those beliefs that you need to build up your belief in yourself, so that you can go out there into the world and make it happen for yourself. Because nothing's going to happen unless you put the work in. If you've been thinking somebody's going to come on a white horse and chariot to save you, stop dreaming right now. It's not going to ever happen. Nobody's coming to rescue you. The only person who's going to rescue you is yourself. And one of the first things you're going to need to do is get the mind right. One of the first things you're going to need to do, as Coach T says, you're going to have to get mind rich. You're going to have to remap that cognitive map that you have up until this point, and be willing to learn, to change, and to grow, so that you can make the change for the better. And nothing's going to happen until you change. The world will change for you when you begin to change for it. So we're gonna shoot it to Coach T for his final words, and we're gonna be at y'all next episode.
Yeah, my final words is, if you've listened to this whole episode now, gosh, we've probably been doing this for 45 plus minutes. That means that you have some interest in being more, in doing more, and more importantly, getting that end result that you want. So that's what coaching is all about. That's my role. That's my responsibility, is to help you get to that end result. So for anybody that's listening today, episode 1, I want to do something very special. They can go to CoachTonyBrace.com. Reach out to me. My telephone number's on my website, 888 toll-free in the U.S., 775-9914. So I'm willing to sit down with somebody if they reach out to me for 1 hour and give them some free game, give them some tools. I know in future episodes we're going to be talking about different tools that we're giving away and special offers for a lot of different things that need to be handled in order for you to generate more revenue, right? In order to market, you're going to have the appropriate website. You're going to have to know how to drive traffic. You're going to have to know how to sell things. You're going to have to know what vendors to go to get the best prices and those sort of things. So if you reach out to me, I will work with you one-to-one for 1 hour to add a lot of value to you. So that's what I want to let the folks know.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. As always, remember, between goals and achievement are discipline and consistency. So start applying your discipline and consistency to following up. Coach T has made himself available to you. Go to his website, www.coachtonybrakes.com. And if you are really eager to change your life for the better, contact that man. He's let you know right here and right now he's available for you. He's willing to invest the hour into you without knowing you, without having anything in any sort of history with you. So take him up on that offer. As well with me, you can go to www.billionairebelief.com/join, join my mailing list, and from there, you'll receive an offer to have a conversation with me to talk about some business. So I look forward to seeing you. Episode 2, we go finish up this case study, talking and taking this rapper through the business quadrant, and from there, till next time, see you. Peace.
God bless and good vibes.